Hi, and good evening. Now we've come to the point in our program where we turn to our wonderful honorees and we present awards and let them tell you about their passions. And I'm here. I'll be presenting the award to Brooke Curran. Brooke and I met just 2 months ago. But for the last 2 years, people have been coming up to me saying, "Do you know Brooke Curran? Have you heard about Brooke Curran? Do you know what Brooke Curran does?" So I did what any reasonable person would do. I Googled her. And Google came up with this wonderful woman who has committed to running a marathon a month to raise awareness and money for at-risk kids in Alexandria and Arlington. And she's only been doing this since May of 2009, but already she has run 41 marathons. And raised over $80,000. And do you know, in March, she is running a marathon in Antarctica. And Brooke does a lot more than just run a marathon a month for charity. Brooke has her own foundation, the Running Brooke Foundation, and it offers matching grants to area nonprofits. And matching grants are great because when you're in part of a matching grant, it kind of draws people in and it encourages everybody to give just a little bit more money, because if you can all put in $10 or just a little bit more money, then the nonprofit that Brooke is sponsoring gets the extra cash incentive that she's offered through her matching grants. So matching grants are a wonderful, wonderful way to get involved, and I'm so glad, Brooke, that you do that because it just kind of raises things up for all of us. So Brooke encourages all of us to give in the most grassroots, the most easy, and the most painless kind of way. And Brooke is also the best kind of investor. I read once that $1 of investment in the human services sector is equal to $100 in prevention. And by Brooke's investments in Girls on the Run, the Reading Connection, the Community Lodgings, Act for Alexandria, and the Children and Network Centers, she is truly investing for all of us, for the future of Alexandria and Arlington and Greater Washington and even beyond that. And she's done all of this in a way that lets her eat whatever she wants. So on behalf of all of us in Alexandria and the Arlington community, and all of us who will benefit from the encouragement, the support, and the positive role modeling that you have shown to our children, Brooke, it's my honor to present you with Volunteer Alexandria's Joan White Grassroots Volunteer Award.
Well, good evening, everyone, and thank you, Jane, for the great introduction. That was really nice. Many thanks also to Volunteer Alexandria for recognizing the Running Brooke Fund tonight. I'm honored. I'm truly honored. I'd also like to congratulate Nina tonight for her much-deserved award. It's nice to see so many familiar faces out there, so many friends. And while some of you know me, some of you may not. So if you would allow me this opportunity just to share my story with you. So I'm Brooke. I guess you all figured that out. I'm the founder, head runner, and chief fundraiser for the Running Brooke Fund. And this is what I do, and I'm fairly certain that I'm the only one in the world doing this. I'm running at least a marathon a month for charity, and in this case, 5 vital Alexandria, Virginia-based charities. I run marathons around the world, 1 on each of the 7 continents. I've been on 5 of 7 so far. Easter Island, Chile, the Outback in Australia, the Great Wall, China, 2 in Europe, and of course the US, with only Africa and Antarctica to go. And as you all just heard from Jane, I'll be there in March. But I'm also running in the 50 states, with my 30th state just last weekend in Georgia, and the 5 world marathon majors, which are Boston, Chicago, New York, Berlin, and London. I run over a marathon a month and pay all of my own travel expenses and fees to inspire Alexandria with my dedication and my sweat, and to inspire Alexandrians to make their own commitment, to get involved, and to donate either time or money. I remind people to look outside themselves, to dedicate themselves outside of their own immediate world, and to act. Running Brooke funds these 5 Alexandria charities: Action Alexandria, Child and Family Network Centers, Community Lodgings, Girls on the Run, and the Reading Connection. But let me back up and start from the beginning. I started running in my late 20s because at that time I had 3 little kids at home under the age of 5, and I had to just get out of the house for some time alone, for some peace and quiet, and just some time to think. I mean, these were the days of the unidentifiable food stains on my shirt and the likelihood that I'd be there, that it would be that way the whole day. And running 2 or 3 miles, maybe 4 days a week, gave me a sense of accomplishment. If I got nothing else done that day, at least I ran. And more importantly, it made me a better mother. Then 9/11 happened, and I could see the smoke rising from the Pentagon from my front steps. And you know that loosely formed life list of things that, well, you mean to do? 9/11 catapulted me into action. My list was and still is packed with things that somehow seem bigger than me, or things that scare me. And that day I decided that I was no longer going to be scared, and I was going to tackle these things one at a time. Running a marathon was on that list, and it seemed like a good place to start. So in late spring of 2002, I registered for the Marine Corps Marathon. And I walked into Pacers Running Store, and I asked them, okay, so how do I do this? How do I run a marathon? And they told me, and it's funny to me now, but my biggest concern then was just to finish without hurting myself. Well, I did finish, and I finished with gas in the tank, and I was so mad at my time that marathoning became all about me, getting stronger and getting faster. And over the next few years, I became pretty good, running the Boston Marathon till I got bored, and often placing in my age group in other races. But you know, the ironic thing was, the better I got, the faster I got, the less my running meant to me. And don't get me wrong, I still loved running, but running for the sole purpose of time left me feeling empty and hollow inside. And over these same years, I would drive along the same stretch of Mount Vernon Avenue in Arlandria, and zillions of times I passed people that were clearly struggling in life. And then one day in 2008, I had this thunderbolt, aha type of moment, and I realized, you know what, I can no longer drive by the faces of these children and families and no longer do anything. It was time for me to step up to the plate in life. And I decided right then and there to combine my passion for running and my passion for my community. And it took many months and many miles to kind of figure out exactly what this was going to look like. And the idea with running a marathon on every continent, well, that's where it started, but it kind of seemed too easy. So I added in the 50 states, and that felt somewhat better. But then I figured, well, you know, while I'm at it, I'm just going to run the 5 World Marathon Majors too. And running one a month was the exclamation point to all of that. But by May of 2009, I was all set. I had partnered with Act for Alexandria, my 501c3 umbrella organization, and formed a donor-advised fund. And the Running Brooke Fund was born. So that's how it started. And now, like Jane said, I've run over 41 marathons in 5 different continents, 30 different states, and run all the 5 World Marathon Majors. And in preparing these remarks, it gave me the opportunity to think about what I'm most proud of, what my challenges have been, and what I've learned, which is loads. And here's what I've realized, and here's what I'm very proud of. I'm proud of the fact that in a little over 2 years, the Running Brooke Fund has raised and granted over $80,000 to well-run Alexandria charities, educating and teaching people how to be self-reliant. These grants have paid preschool teachers' salaries, ensuring that 58 children receive a high-quality bilingual instruction where they learn the lessons and social skills they need to succeed in life. These grants have reopened the doors of an Arlandria Teen Center for an after-school tutoring and a quiet place for homework. These grants have given 1,000 books to over 100 families and provided scholarships for 45 girls so they may live, dream, and run a 5K event. Plus, we're answering numerous calls for action for immediate needs such as milk and healthful after-school snacks for kids living in the carpenter shelter. I'm also proud that I've inspired people to act and led them to engage in the good, to think outside themselves for the betterment of our community. You see, I found that a lot of people do want to help. They do want to give, but they just don't know how or where or to whom. And I'm thankful for all this has given me, the strength and the empathy, the personal growth, and the strong bonds to some really good people, many of whom I would have never met. What people don't know about me is that in 2009, a month after establishing the Running Brook Fund, I was diagnosed with asthma and exercise-induced asthma. Overnight, I was unable to run, and I was devastated. It could have taken a huge toll. It could have stopped the Running Brook Fund in its tracks. But thankfully, I had and I have plenty of resources, and I got the help that I needed. I consider what it would be like to have no access to health care, or more importantly, no access to a strong support system. And then I think of our at-risk neighbors, many of whom have no resources and no support system at all. This notion only strengthened my resolve to make that difference. And while we all contemplate our place in the world, I would love for you to be part of my world. As a volunteer, or maybe as a donor, or even as a sponsor, or someone who comes to my always fun events. And in closing, it's with incredible gratitude that I thank again Volunteer Alexandria for this recognition. I know that there must have been many equally qualified and deserving recipients. I'd also like to thank my husband, Chris, and my family for going along with my audacious plan, and my friends who are forever helping me along the way. And I'd also like to recognize my sponsors, many of whom are in the audience tonight. We have Pacers Events, McLaughlin Ryder Investments, TJ Fannin and Sons, ASAP Printing, Mark G. Anderson Consultants, Bonnet Builders, McNair Travel, McGinn Investments, and Woodrow Wilson Bridge Half Marathon. I know I wouldn't be here today without them. So good night, and thank you again.